So I'm Dr. Christine Wallace. I'm the Vice President for Kettering Global. Thank you today for everyone who's decided to join us. We're going to spend some time talking about online programs and specifically about programs that are being offered by Kettering University. So let's start by talking about a question that frequently comes up when I have conversations with people about online degrees. Are online degrees legitimate? What will my degree say when I get it? Is it an online institution only, or is the institution provide other types of degrees? I think there's a lot of what I would call buyer beware questions that need to be asked. Talk to the institution that you're looking at that is offering an online degree. Ask them these questions. You want to make sure that your degree does not say that it's from an online university, that is actually the same quality degree that as if you were sitting in a classroom on the campus. So for instance, if you were getting a degree from Kettering as an example, and you were getting an online degree, it would say Kettering University. It would not say Kettering University Online. That's a very important distinction, and you want to make sure, because there is still some prejudice out there that employers, as they're looking at your credentials, may still have that prejudice that an online degree is not at the same quality that a campus degree is. So you don't want that to be one of the things that sort of weeds your resume out in the very beginning until you've had an opportunity to talk to the employer and actually get a chance to be in front of them. I would tell you that if the institution is a high-quality institution, so is their online degree. You are not going to get an institution that's going to put their name on a degree that is online that in any way is going to mar their reputation. So if it's a high-quality institution to begin with, then it's a high-quality online degree. One of the things that you need to do is to do your research. Go online, do a little research on the institution. See what people are saying about it. There are lots of blogs up there that particular institution will have that surround the institution. Find out what people are saying. Find out what graduates are saying. Find out some of the statistics. How many people have jobs? How do they feel about the quality of their education? I think for the amount of money that you're investing in your education, it is well worth that additional time to do these things so that you're actually making a very solid investment. When you think about an online degree, whether it's an undergraduate or graduate, it's probably something that is the equivalent of, let's say for a master's degree, the equivalent of the cost of a car. If it's something where you're going to be looking at an undergraduate degree online, it may be something that's equivalent to the cost of a house. You wouldn't make those kind of investments without doing your research ahead of time. Same thing should be done when you're looking at where am I going to get my online degree. Make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck. So how do you go about choosing a high-quality online program? As I said earlier, make sure you do your homework on the institution. If you've not heard of them before, that's probably not a good sign. You should check and see where their accreditation is. That's not something that the average student or the average consumer necessarily considers when they're looking at an institution, but it's very important to understand that your institution is accredited and that the institution doesn't have any current concerns by their accrediting agency. For instance, many of the institutions in the Midwest are accredited through the Higher Learning Commission as their overall accreditation. And then, depending on the type of degree and the type of school, there's a variety of secondary accreditations that an institution may have. Kettering, for example, has their engineering programs with an ABET accreditation, which is their engineering accreditation, which is very important for our engineering programs. So it's very important that you look at these things as part of what you are doing to make your decision about what's the right university for you. The reputation of the traditional university counts. So if you're talking about an institution that has traditional on-campus programs, You want to make sure that those traditional programs are high quality, that they're rated well, that the faculty is rated well, and when you do that research and you find that out, you can assume that the programs that are being put online are also at that same quality. Ask questions when you talk to a recruiter or you talk to admissions rep. Make sure you're asking questions about how do they design their online programs, who designs the courses, what's the format of the courses, and who teaches the courses. Make sure that you're not getting into a situation where it's basically just a correspondence course. You don't want a situation where basically you're going into the class, somebody's handing you a bunch of materials, and at the end of the class you hand them in for a grade. You want to make sure that it is highly interactive, that you have high quality faculty that are teaching the courses, and that the faculty are actually somebody who's going to be there to help and support you throughout the entire educational process. So let's talk a little bit just about Kettering University. Kettering has a very fine reputation to begin with, and we do not deliver programs that do not align with mission. For example, you aren't going to be able to come to Kettering University and get a degree in Russian literature. You're not even going to be able to get a degree in English literature. We are a STEM institution, which means that we focus on science, technology, engineering, and math. And we make sure that the programs that we're offering align with that mission. We also use subject matter experts to help develop high quality and very rigorous courses. For example, we have used a variety of Master Six Sigma Black Belts to help develop our lean manufacturing program. That program has had a high amount of success. As an example, through the period of time that we've been working with General Motors tech program, we have saved General Motors over $300 million over the last decade as we've been working, helping their students achieve these degrees, and then the students actually taking some of what they're learning, looking at projects that they can do that actually have value add back to their organization. We work with our faculty and departments, so we're not going off on our own and just doing whatever we want to do for online. We're very much integrated with our faculty and our departments. And we work with our departments in our curricular process here at the university to make sure that every single degree that we offer meets the high standards of what we would expect any class to have for Kettering University. One of the other things that we do is we spend a great deal of time evaluating potential instructors for our online courses. We like to find people who have experience in teaching online, but even more so, we like to find people who are experts in their field. So we're looking for people who are Six Sigma Black Belts, who have high quality degrees from high quality institutions, and people who have experience in the areas that they'll be teaching. So you might get someone to teach operations management in our operations management degree who has 25 years working in operations. And you may get somebody who has worked, when we're talking about international business, someone who has worked all over the world and now has the opportunity to bring that experience and background to you in the Kettering classroom. So that's very important. We make sure that the faculty that we have teaching has the same level of quality and credentials that you would see in any Kettering faculty. So you're not getting someone who would be a lesser instructor online. You're getting someone who maintains that same level and quality. And I think that that's very, very important, because no matter how good or bad an online class or any class is, you all know, because you've gone to school before, that it is your class and the quality of your class is totally determined on the quality of the faculty. Great faculty make a great difference in the online classroom too. We also believe in practicing what we preach here at Kettering University Online, and what we do is we have a system of continuous improvement. So what that means, many institutions online develop courses and leave the courses to kind of run statically, sometimes as long as 5 years. At Kettering, we don't do that. Every time a class runs, we get input from the instructor and if there's more than one instructor teaching several sections, several instructors, on ways that we can make our courses better. So we try to practice those Lean Six Sigma concepts of continuous improvement by making sure that everything that we teach, we look at, we make sure we have enough supports for students, we make sure that we're constantly adding the things that are going to help make students more successful.
Great. Now I'm going to share a quick video with everyone, so bear with me and I will get us set up, and we will then get back right into answering questions and talking about the next steps.
To best understand our future, we need to first tell you a little about our past. The year was 1919. World War I had just ended, and Americans were eager for peace, prosperity, and the feel of the open road behind the wheel of a new automobile. Around the corner, a little night school known as the School of Automotive Trades opened its doors to area automakers, the ones who knew how to build cars, but wanted to learn engineering and management skills. Fast forward 100 years. That little night school isn't so little anymore. It's Kettering University, an internationally known private university that has inspired some of the sharpest minds in science, technology, engineering, math, and business.
I'm not sure if everyone else
with more than 500 industry partners, 1,000 plus C-level alumni, and a 98% graduate employment rate. We're in the top 15 for educational return on investment. But true to Kettering form, this story's about the future, technological innovations, and emerging industries. A new, agile era of education that gives you the opportunity to earn a highly respected Kettering University graduate degree from anywhere in the world. Welcome to Kettering University Online. Your future is here. It's time to learn differently, worldwide.
And I do apologize if anyone had technical difficulties. It sounds like there was some issues with sound potentially, so hopefully that wasn't impacting everyone. I did want to go ahead actually and jump into our second video, or our second poll of the day. I apologize. Now that we've learned a little bit more about Kettering University's online approach on how we developed our online graduate programs, this is just to see how many might be more interested about learning more about our program. So I will launch that poll and give everyone a few minutes. All right, thank you again for those that participated. It looks like we do have a good amount of people who are attending today interested in more information about our programs, which is great to see. Still some of those not quite sure yet, so definitely want to be able to answer any other questions you guys have today. And hopefully for those that are interested, we do have, like I said, Mike and Ryan joining here shortly to talk a little bit more about the next steps, answer any specific questions that you all may have at the end. So with that said, Dr. Wallace, if you'd like to go ahead and pick us back up and talk about the student approach.
Yes, and also please do ask questions about whether or not you're interested in a Kettering University Online degree when we get to that point of asking questions, because I do think that it's important that you start to have that dialogue very early and try to understand. If you've never taken an online class before, you may be concerned about what it means to take an online class, and am I still going to get the same level of interaction that I would with a face-to-face class? I will tell you one thing, that my students usually say that the interaction with their fellow classmates and their instructor is actually more And you may say, how can that be? We have very interactive discussion boards that take place in the class, and students get to know each other and discuss ideas and bring each other new ideas and new insights. And because you're an online student, you're not allowed to sit in the back. How many of you sat in a classroom and only 2 or 3 people talked? If you're raising your hand right now, I can tell you I remember those classrooms too. That's not possible in the online classroom. So that's one of the things to think about, is that a great opportunity because everyone needs to participate. And by participating and having that full level of participation, you get a lot more out of your classroom and your fellow students. Let's talk for just a minute about the other things that we do to help make you successful as a student. And if you're feeling a little bit like I'm not really sure, I would tell you it's really important that you have high-speed internet available to you, and I will tell you it's important that you have your own computer. Those 2 things are really, really important, and that's because otherwise you might, if you're trying to use a work computer, that can somewhat limit you. But the other things that we have that really make a difference is we provide you with a professional advisor. That professional advisor is someone who stays with you throughout your academic career with us. They're there if you're having difficulties. They're there if you don't have, you're not really sure about an answer to a question about how you use something, how you access something. What do I do if I'm having difficulty with some technology? What do I do if something happens in my life and I need to bow out for a term? These advisors are there to help you through all those sort of hurdles that may come up during the period of time that you will be taking classes. We have a required orientation, and we ask everyone to take that orientation. It takes about an hour to take the orientation. It's very comprehensive, and then you have a little quiz that you take afterwards to make sure that you've gotten the most out of the orientation. One of the other things that we do for you is we provide you cloud-based software. So you may need software for some of your classes, Excel, Minitab. That is all provided to you free of charge in the cloud. So all you have to do is to be able to log on to the cloud, and we give you all the information on how to do that, and then you're able to use that software. The other thing that we've tried to do, and I guess it comes from my years of paying for my own college and paying for my own books, is we've tried to make textbooks a lot more accessible and a lower cost, and we've done that by giving you e-books or e-texts. This makes it a lot easier. You can literally, for as long as however long it takes you to put your credit card number in, that's how long it takes you to get your textbook. You can also, though, still get a hard copy book. So if you're somebody who, you know, I'm not really sure I want to read everything online, and in some of the textbook companies allow you actually to get a very inexpensive hard cover copy if you buy the e-text. So there's a bunch of different options that are available. We also have something at Kettering which I think is really important, and that is we have a concerns form. And that form is something that your instructor does not see. But if you had a concern while you were taking the class, and let me tell you what kinds of concerns that might be. Maybe you see something, maybe you've had some issue with another student. Maybe you've had an issue with a professor that you have a concern with. You can actually fill out a form that will come directly to our Kettering University office. We will contact you and we will work through any concerns that you have. And we do that because we feel it's important to make sure that we've taken away any barrier that may keep you from being successful in your online class. So we want you to feel like, you know, some students are concerned if they tell their instructor something, it might affect their grade. I would hope that people are professional and that never happens. But students do have that concern. So we've provided a way for you to tell us if you have a concern about another student, about an instructor, about something that just doesn't seem right in the classroom. If there's some academic issue, we always ask you to go to your instructor for help and support there. You also have access to your faculty. Your faculty are required to have at least 2 hours every single week to have office hours for you. But your faculty are available to you beyond that. You can call faculty or send a message to faculty at any time, and you can schedule a time to be able to talk with your faculty, to get some additional support, to have them help you. So it's kind of almost like having that one-on-one tutoring throughout your class. So if you have difficult issues in your class that you're having difficulty with, your faculty are there to help and support you throughout the process. The other thing that we provide is a 24-hour response from all of your faculty. So if you send a course message to one of your instructors, they're required to respond to you within 24 hours. So that makes sure that you're not sitting out there waiting for an answer for a long period of time, that you feel like you don't have anybody there that can kind of help lead you through some things that you may find more confounding in your classroom.
Great information. Thank you, Dr. Wallace. I'm going to go ahead and introduce now Ryan and Mike. Dr. Wallace has done a great job of kind of sharing what happens after for students that are enrolled in our courses and the approach that Kettering University is taking to develop their online courses. I did want to go ahead and have Ryan or Mike just talk a little bit about the steps that are involved before you get there for those that are interested, so they know kind of where to begin taking that next step to improving where they want to go for their goals. So with that said, I'd like to introduce Ryan and Mike.
Thank you, Stephen. And good morning to everybody, or good afternoon for those of you on the East Coast. As Stephen mentioned, my name is Ryan Dagnalt. I'm an enrollment advisor for the online programs at Kettering University, specifically with the master's programs. Just to give you an idea, the three programs that we do offer online are the Masters of Science in Engineering Management, the Master of Science in Operations Management, and the Master of Science in Lean Manufacturing. Just to explain mine and Mike's role, essentially is to assist you in understanding the programs in more detail and also discuss your academic and professional background to determine if you're a good candidate for the program. The initial steps, if you do have interest in understanding more about the programs themselves and if you'd be a good candidate, would be to reach out to Mike or myself directly at the number provided on the screen. Just to cover that number, it is 844-341-2516. A quick discussion about your background as well as the program will help you understand if this is a good fit for your goals and what you're looking to do moving forward. Just so you're aware, the next term we have coming up is actually our February 22nd term, and the deadline is February 5th, so there is still ample time to move through the admissions process for that term. So moving forward, the next step would be to reach out to myself or Mike. So I'll hand it back over to Stephen to pick up from here.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Before we start our Q&A session here on today's webinar, I am going to go ahead and send out our last poll for the day. You should all be able to see it here now. And just before I share that, actually, just a reminder, now is also a great time to send in those final questions that you all may have for either Dr. Wallace, Ryan, or Mike, and we will get to the Q&A here shortly. So I will go ahead and launch the poll. All right, I'll go ahead and share. It looks like the majority of you on today's webinar are looking at, from the interest of the graduate programs that we offer, are looking to advance your careers, and some are just looking to change careers entirely. So both things we can certainly help out with. Like Ryan and Mike said, the information to contact them are on the screen if you'd like to just talk to them one-on-one about more specific details. I've also included the website here, online.kettering.edu, for those that want to just go out and research some more on their own just to see if this is the right fit. So with that said, I will go ahead and transition to our Q&A session. So I do have a couple questions here that we've seen. Thank you again for those that have sent things in. First question I have, this looks to be probably for you, Dr. Wallace. How does a typical online class work week to week? Like, how might that be different from my undergraduate experience?
Okay. So what you would do is you have access to the class about a week in advance. You should go into the class and kind of look around and see what the requirements are, and we always tell everybody to do that because I think it's good for your planning. We ask students then you would have a variety of things that you would need to do in every week, and typically we try to provide a rhythm that's sort of replicatable week to week. So you would get in, you would probably look at some media, some little mini lectures. There would be reading for you to do. And then there would be a discussion question. Usually classes open up, start the new week on Monday, and you have a discussion question, a primary post to a discussion question that is required to be done by Tuesday night at 11:59 p.m., and that's a little Blackboard thing. You have to have everything done slightly before midnight in order for it to count on the day. Then you begin looking at what other people are putting in for their discussion questions. You read those, and then you find a couple of your fellow learners that you decide to respond to, and you give them a quality response. You provide them an insight based on your experience. You maybe you've read something that provided a different opinion than what they suggested in their discussion question. You put that kind of feedback into the discussion, and it can become a really robust discussion question where you're actually not only learning from what you're reading and the media that you're looking at, but you're also learning from fellow students, many of which have a great range of experience to bring to the classroom, and your instructor, who would again bring their experience, education, and knowledge to the classroom. Typically, you have an assignment due. Those assignments usually are due on Sunday night, so you really have all week to get those done. And we've specifically done that with it in mind that people are busy working professionals. They have time to do a discussion question and some reading during the week, but they really need that weekend time to be able to completely finish a written assignment. So you'd have an assignment that's probably due at the end of the week on a Sunday night, and then you'll have a new set of assignments and things, discussions that will be due the following week. And it sort of has that rhythm. Two important things is we try to build week to week on what you're learning. So you're building on what you're learning from the week before. And the other thing that we try to do is make sure that there is a direct applicability to what you're learning in the classroom to what you're doing on your job. So you'll have lots of opportunities to take a problem or a situation that's in your current job, and you'll actually be able to use that in many of the discussions and assignments that you're doing, so that you're actually walking away with something that you might actually be able to go the next day and try at your job. We call it learn today, use tomorrow.
Great, thank you. All right, the next question that we have, this one also looks like to be for you, Dr. Wallace. How do employers view the ability of an online graduate in today's workforce?
That's a very good question. I'm not sure who asked that, but thank you for that question, because I do think that in the past, and if you went to a traditional university, which many of us did, including myself, you're thinking, you know, maybe an employer isn't going to see an online degree as the same as a degree as I was sitting in a classroom every day. The truth is, that's why I tell you in the very beginning to make sure that you ask the questions, what does your degree say? Your degree from Kettering University Online will say Kettering University. It does not say it was an online degree. And that's very important because it means that your degree is of the same quality and the same standard as if you were sitting in a classroom here on campus. So that's very, very important. I think employers have more and more seen, and the research has actually shown, that people actually learn in some cases better online than they do in the face-to-face classroom. And there's a variety of studies and research. You can go out there and go to Google Scholar, and you can look at some of that research that's out there. So employers are seeing more often that students who get high-quality online degrees have just as much to offer as someone who sat in a classroom. And I can tell you that General Motors would attest to that by their experience of our online graduates having saved General Motors over the last decade over $300 million. That did not happen from a face-to-face classroom, that happened from an online. So I think you're seeing that more and more employers are seeing that it's a great way to get people additional training and education, but keep them on the job and let them actually be able to use what they're learning directly in the classroom, from the classroom directly into their workspace. And I think you're finding more and more employers are valuing online degrees in the same way they do face-to-face.
Thank you. Okay, a couple other questions here. I'll combine these. So one of our registrant said they have an undergraduate degree from Mexico. What is the process for transcript evaluation? And then if you want to elaborate, I know you kind of answered this earlier. I think the only thing that they still had a question on when you're talking about the typical week-to-week flow is what typical class load do graduate students take? So if you want to elaborate on that a little bit more too, that'd be great.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. I have quite a few students who have their undergraduate degree from Mexico, so that's not something that's unusual for us. What we do expect is that the degree is translated and the courses are translated. If we can get a translated GPA, we treat that the same way as we do any other transcript that we would receive. If for some reason you can't get a transcripted GPA, then you get accepted provisionally as long as you've met the other requirements. What that means, what does provisional acceptance mean? It means that you've got to make sure that you've gotten an A and B in the first 2 classes that you've taken. As long as you do that, then your provisional acceptance drops and you're regularly accepted to the program. And that would be the only caveat for a degree from not only just Mexico, but it could be from anywhere in the world that is outside of the United States. But we consider those. We have some very high quality students that have gotten their undergraduate degrees from Mexico. A typical load. If you are a working professional, I would tell you that you should not take any more than 1 class every term, and our classes are 6 and 8 weeks. Classes are a lot of work. I'm going to tell you that you're going to be spending about, anywhere between 9 and 12 hours a week between all of the work that you'll be doing in a class. That's something you can fit into a work schedule. You can spend some time on the weekends. You can spend some time in the evening. If you are not working, I would tell you could take 2 classes in a 6 or 8 week period, but I would not recommend that for somebody who's doing a job, and many of our instructors or many of our students have really high-level positions and high-level jobs, and I would recommend that you take 1 class at a time, and I think it's very doable if you're doing that. That 1 class every 6 weeks, though, puts you at 2 classes for 12 weeks, and that actually makes you a full-time graduate student, because 2 classes in a 12-week term is considered full-time for a graduate student. The great thing about that is if you do take 1 class every 6 or 8 weeks and you stay with it for the entire period, you can actually possibly finish your master's degree in about 15 months. Although for students that want to take a break, want to take a 6-week term off or an 8-week term off, it's also possible to do that and still finish in a very timely basis. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I think that does. Thank you very much. Another question that came up is, so we have the February 5th application deadline for the 22nd term, February 22nd term. What is the application deadline following February 5th's deadline? So what's the next start, basically, I think is the question here.
Well, we have a rolling sort of admissions, so that's also a very good thing that we do here at Kettering, to have this rolling admissions. So you can put in your application at any time, and we will review the application. And I'm looking right this second. I apologize. I am. Let me look for winter. It would be a spring, and our spring term actually begins on April 4th. Would be our next spring term. So we would want to have your application the last week of March. We review applications every week, and so if we get the application completed on the week before, on the Wednesday before, you could be accepted to begin the classes on April 4th.
Thank you. All right, next question. For those that are transferring in maybe from other programs who have started an MBA, let's say, or taken other graduate level programs but maybe never finished, how do transfer of courses work for that? Do they have to repeat courses within Kettering if there's applicable programs that can be applied?
Yeah, if you look at any master's program, this is pretty much a standard response. Usually most programs will allow you 2 classes that you can transfer in. That's the most graduate programs will ever let you. So if the classes are applicable to the degree, for instance, let me give you an example. Let's say you started working on an MBA and for whatever reason decided not to continue. You already took a course on how to manage people or on leadership or on operations management. We will pull that syllabus for that course and we'll look at it, make sure that it came from an accredited university, and we will do our best to transfer that course in, up to 2 courses. So that's usually something that we work really hard to try to do because, again, I know students are out there paying for courses, you're busy working professionals, and we try to do what we can to make things as easy for you as possible. So about 2 classes can be transferred in if they're appropriate.
Perfect. Another question here is the test of English as a foreign language required for non-native English speakers for the program. It's TOEFL.
Yeah, you have to take the TOEFL, and I believe, and Ryan and Mike, can you chime in? I believe we have a 550 score that we require.
And also a 69, depending on how it's delivered for the TOEFL exam.
That is correct, because you can take it online or you can take it pen and paper, and it changes. So it's 550 or 69. 69, I think, is the online.
I'm sorry, I think it's 79. I apologize.
79.
Yes.
And I'll tell students, I've had a couple students contact me who have just been slightly under that. You know, I'm going to tell you, your ability to read, write, and use English extremely well is important because you are communicating so often online in your writing and using to write papers and to work with other students. And so we're sort of a little bit of a stickler about that. I would not want to set a student up not to be successful. And so it's really important. But you can take the TOEFL over and over again until you can get the score up to where it's acceptable. But I wouldn't want a student who hasn't been able to at least meet those standards to get into a program and then has some difficulty with either reading or writing or even materials that are in the classroom.
All right. Next question I have, this one, I'll throw it out there. I'm not sure if we can answer this. It's probably kind of subjective, but why would someone choose an online degree for a master's program instead of doing the traditional, on-ground, on-school campus experience that might be having a night class available? Does anyone want to kind of speak to that?
Let me tell you the first reason is convenience. Yes. If you're somebody who really does best with somebody standing in front of you to help you through material, that may be the right situation for you. But most people like the convenience of being able to learn anytime, anywhere. I know that I've had students who have told me while their children are playing sports, they're sitting with their laptop on their lap, watching their children playing sports, and in between working on some assignments for their classroom. You can't do that if you have to be at class Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 to 9. So I would tell you first and foremost, it's the convenience of anytime, anywhere. If you take a traditional program, you're going to have to be in the classroom. If you miss so many classes, a lot of times you're only allowed to miss 1 or 2 classes. You can work a class according to what works for your life and your schedule. If you're somebody who works a different shift, you can go to school at a time that is more convenient. If it's easier for you to work when the kids are at school, you can do that. Can't do that if it's a night class. So I would tell you first and foremost, it's the convenience of being able to take your class and to learn in a way that is a lot more convenient for you and for your lifestyle. And I have to tell you, it also keeps you a little bit more connected to the family. So if you've got a family and you're trying to go to school, you can be in your own little space working, and if a child or a spouse or a partner needed you, they can interrupt you and get some attention. The other thing I would tell you is if you have a job where you travel, you're going to miss classes if you're in a face-to-face classroom. And that's not the case when you're online. Anywhere that you can get an internet connection, you can take a class. So I have faculty and students who are all over the world, including I have soldiers in Afghanistan taking classes. So it's possible to do it anytime, anywhere.
Thank you. All right, I do have a last few questions here, and I know we were running out of time here too, so this will probably be it. I think I can combine these two for you. We've talked a lot about the admission requirements for transferring from out of the country degrees, things like that, or for non-native English speakers. What other admission testing scores are required for the Kettering University Online courses?
You're not required to take the GRE or GMAT. You are required to have, if you want the MS in Engineering Management, you're required to have an engineering degree from an ABET accredited institution. If you have, if you're interested in the Operations Management degree, you have to again have an undergraduate degree from a accredited institution. We require your resume, your official transcripts from your undergraduate institution, and that's all the undergraduate institutions that you've gone to. And if you're looking at the MS in Lean Manufacturing, we require 2 letters of recommendation to apply for the program. We do have for Operations Management and Engineering Management some prerequisites that are required, and that's to help to make sure that you're successful. But pretty much it's an application, it's your official transcripts, and it's your resume. And then for Lean Manufacturing, a couple letters of recommendation.
Great, and I know I did say that was the last one, but I did have one pop up that I think is relevant, and I think it's an important question that probably a lot of people have on their mind that this person asked. But what is the cost for an online program, and then also, do you offer a combination of an online and on-site classes for the programs that we offer?
For the programs that we're currently offering, no. The programs that we're currently offering are completely online. There are some other graduate programs we have here at Kettering that are on ground, and there are some that have a blended approach, but the ones that we currently offer through Kettering University Online are the 3 degrees, and they're completely online. The cost is $828 a credit hour. If you start looking around, you'll find that that's sort of a moderate graduate tuition rate. That means for 40 credit hours, which our current degrees are, it's right around $33,000.
Great. Thank you very much. So there are no more questions at this time, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll get things wrapped up here. Just wanted a few more reminders here. We do have a link that will be sent to your emails following today's meeting after I conclude the meeting that will have a very short survey, and we are going to be hosting more program-specific webinars about our Kettering University Online programs in the near future, and are certainly always looking for ways to improve how we present that, or what materials we present to make it even more enjoyable for our audience members. So for future dates of webinars or any other information, again, you can visit our website at www.online.kettering.edu. And I do want to again take time to thank you all who participated, and first and most of all take time to thank our fine panelists, Dr. Christine Wallace, Ryan, and Mike again. We hope you all have learned some valuable information this afternoon, and we certainly look forward to hearing from you, from those that were interested in more about our programs in the very near future. Thank you all again, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.